Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Informed American Podcast. I'm your host, Shelly Meyer, and we're continuing our breakdown of Donald Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. This series is designed to help you understand the key sections of the bill, written in layperson's terms, so you can see exactly what's in it and how it might affect you and all Americans. In today's episode, we're diving into Section 10003, which focuses on changes to the Able-Bodied Adults Without Dependents, or ABAWD, waiver under the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, or SNAP. This part of the bill deals with who is eligible for benefits, how long they can receive assistance, and the work requirements tied to those benefits. So let's break it all down and look at how these changes could impact millions of Americans. What are the ABAWD work requirements? First, let's define what an ABAWD is. ABAWD stands for Able-Bodied Adult Without Dependents. These are individuals who are not elderly, disabled, or taking care of dependents and are therefore expected to be working in order to qualify for SNAP benefits. Under the current system, these individuals can only receive SNAP assistance for up to 3 months out of a 36-month period unless they meet specific work requirements. So in order to continue receiving SNAP benefits beyond the 3-month limit, ABAWDs must work or participate in some kind of job program for at least 20 hours per week, or an average of 80 hours per month. This could include working for pay, exchanging goods or services, participating in a work training program, or even volunteering. In other words, if you're an ABAWD, you have to prove that you're actively engaged in efforts to become self-sufficient and find employment. It's not a terrible thing. What about areas with higher unemployment? Now, here's where things get a little tricky and interesting. Under the Food and Nutrition Act, states that can request an exception or waiver from the ABAWD work requirements in areas that are facing high unemployment or where jobs are scarce. These waivers allow people in those areas to receive benefits for longer periods of time without having to meet the job or work requirement trainings. During Trump's administration, one of the key changes was making it harder for states to get these waivers. The administration argued that by strengthening the qualifications for waivers, it would encourage self-sufficiency, helping more SNAP recipients find jobs and reduce their reliance on government assistance. Not a horrible thing, really. This policy change was not without controversy, though. Supporters of the new regulation say it pushes people towards employment, helping them become financially independent. Wouldn't we all love to become financially? However, critics argue that tightening the waiver process could leave vulnerable populations, I cannot speak today, especially those living in areas with limited job opportunities, and it'll leave them without the help they need and potentially increasing hunger and food insecurity. Not a good thing. Essentially, the Trump administration wanted to make it more difficult for states to opt out of ABAWD work, particularly in places with low employment rates. And it aimed to reduce SNAP's dependency rate by pushing people to find jobs. Now, there's waivers during Trump's second term. So what happens in Trump's second term? The focus remains on encouraging self-sufficiency on SNAP recipients. In his second term, Trump and his administration continue to emphasize that SNAP should be a temporary form of assistance, encouraging people to move from government help to stable full-time. Under Trump's appointed Secretary of Agriculture, Sonny Perdue, Secretary of Labor, Eugene Scalia, the administration maintained a position that professional and job training are essential for ABAWDs to find employment. The government also pointed out the Fiscal Responsibility Act of 2023, which sought to broaden SNAP's eligibility, making it easier for low-income people to access job training and increase their earning potential. While these changes may help some individuals find work, they may also make it harder for others, particularly those in rural or economically distressed areas, to qualify for SNAP, as they may not be able to meet the employment requirements or find steady work. That's difficult in rural areas. What does this mean mean for the average American? For some, these changes may push them toward finding work and becoming more financially independent. However, for others, especially those in areas with limited job opportunities, or those who are struggling with factors like low wages, health issues, or childcare, these stricter requirements could mean the loss of vital assistance, potentially leading to more food insecurity. It's important to remember that these are just proposals. I can't say that now. When I wrote this, it was, but this has passed. And by midterms, they're going to go into effect unless Republicans are voted out. We'll see how that goes. They weren't set in stone, and changes to SNAP required approval through the legislative and regulatory process. But it passed in the House, the whole bill, so let's see what happens in the midterms. It is clear that this section of Trump's bill is focused on reducing reliance on government assistance by making it harder for states to waive work requirements, pushing more ABAWDs into the workforce. Now, I don't disagree that people who rely on SNAP benefits shouldn't work, okay? They should, but even in big cities like the one that I live in, it's hard to find a job that can make you enough money to get off of SNAP benefits. Walmart, for instance, does not pay their workers a living wage. And many of the employees are on SNAP benefits because some of us have been able to find jobs where we don't qualify for it at all. And that's what we would like for all Americans, to have jobs that pay a living wage. So in that respect, I agree that more job training should be available. And it's really not. So we need to work on that. But in conclusion, we need to stay informed and engage. So as we continue to see with this bill, changes to SNAP and other social safety nets are going to have a profound impact on millions of people across the U.S. While some believe these changes will encourage work and self-sufficiency, others worry that they will hurt vulnerable communities who rely on SNAP for their basic needs. That's why it is so important for us to stay informed about these changes and engage in conversation. Healthy debates, not arguments. Understanding what's in these bills and how they will impetus is crucial to ensuring that our government policies serve the needs of all Americans, not just the billionaires. So that's it for today's breakdown of Section 10003 from Trump's One Big Beautiful Bill. I hope this explanation helps you better understand the implications and changes to the ABAWD waiver and work requirements under SNAP. As always, thank you for tuning in, and be sure to join me next week as we continue to unpack more of this bill, continuing with Section 100. Please subscribe, like, and share to my Patreon, my YouTube, and my Spotify. They're all free. So please join me on one of those platforms. Until next time, stay informed, stay engaged.